Personally, I deal with a lot of introverts, empaths, and healers, and I noticed that this group in particular can find it more challenging than most to consistently put out video content. And honestly, that's where this training stems from. So let's get started. And today we're talking about 7 things to stop overthinking when it comes to your video marketing. So I feel you, okay? I know what it's like to get so stuck in your head around content creation that you don't make anything at all. However, you have to remember that there are people who need to hear what you have to say, and they are waiting for what you have to offer. They won't be able to benefit from all your greatness though if they can't find you. And that's where video marketing comes in. There is a reason that pretty much every social media platform is prioritizing videos. It's because it works. So take advantage of this amazing tool that in the long run also makes things easier for you. Think about it. When you create a video, you have an asset, and that asset can be used many times for a variety of things, all from that one effort. All right, y'all. I'm done hyping up video marketing for now. Let's get into the first thing you need to stop overthinking. Stop overthinking showing up authentically. So, what does this mean? I notice that a lot of people have restraints about showing up on camera because they are afraid of truly being themselves. Maybe you feel like you talk too fast or too slow or too country. Whatever that reason is, you have to remember or just keep in mind that there is someone who's going to relate to that. There's someone who's going to love that about you, right? That thing that you are too nervous or too shy to show to the world, someone is going to love and adore that, right? That's why this to me is the most important thing on this list of things to stop overthinking, right? Um, it's important when building a business, building a brand that people can really, connect and relate to it. And even if it isn't you showing up as the business owner, whoever is showing up, whoever is showing their face, you want to make sure it is being done in an authentic way because people can tell when it's not. This can also look like showing up imperfectly, right? So maybe you don't resonate with showing up authentically. You're like, I'm me all day, every day. But maybe you're worried about showing up imperfectly, right? Maybe you're worried about having a bunch of bloopers. Maybe you're worried about saying something wrong. These are things that are understandable, to be nervous about, but don't let them stop you from creating video content. Your confidence will grow the more you create content. It's just something, it just gets easier, at the more you do it. I'm not saying that your nervousness will completely go away. Some people still get nervous, when they right before they go live or right before they speak in front of a group of people. However, your confidence and your knowledge of yourself that you can do this and you can do a good job will grow the more that you do it. Lastly, this is so important because don't you want to attract people who vibe with you, who connect with you, who, like you for you, or like your brand for what your brand is all about, right? So um, that is, as a business owner, your life is just going to be so much easier when all you have to do is show up as yourself. It's going to be less draining if all you have to do is show up as yourself. And again, the more you practice, you next thing you know, you're going to be creating videos left and right because you can just be you. So that is the first thing to stop overthinking, which is showing up authentically. Next is the $1 million question before I get into a couple of the other ones. So, the $1 million question, something that I get all the time is what should I post? Right? What should I post? And the next few things to stop overthinking is going to cover this. But I wanted to go ahead and um, talk about this here before we get into it, right? So some of you might have too many ideas. You're like, I have all these ideas. I want to post everything, and I'm not sure which one to post. Now, on a deeper level, that's where strategy and things like that come in. But on a mindset level, I want you to not get too caught up on posting too much, right? I don't want you to get too caught up on what other people will think the more you promote yourself, right? You are a business, you are a brand. That is what you're doing. You are promoting products, services, yourself, because you believe in the quality of that. You believe in the transformation that it will result in, and so of course you're going to promote that. So don't worry about that if that's your problem. The other side of that is maybe you don't really have a lot of ideas, or maybe you're just kind of unclear around the ideas that you do have. If so, then these next few slides should be very helpful for you. Okay? So let's get into the next thing you should stop overthinking, which is repurposing past video content. So sometimes people can get sometimes people do not want to post past content that they already put out, right? But you've already done it. Let's reuse it, right? So this can look like taking clips from past lives or Zoom videos. This is really great because, you know, there are definitely going to be people who are going to watch your long form content all the way through, and then there's going to be people who are going to be like, should I give them this half hour? Should I give them this hour? Right? So breaking up into clips, giving them some really juicy nuggets that is going to intrigue them to look at the full versions of these videos. And sometimes maybe you've just had something that you really wanted to say and you really want to put that message out. And you can do that by taking that clip. Don't, make it easy for people. Don't expect people to dig through and go through everything. The attention span people have nowadays are very low, especially when it comes to certain platforms. Let's talk about Instagram, right? If you go live on Instagram, you probably, depending on your audience, can get a lot of engagement during the live itself. And that's awesome and that's very valuable. However, afterwards, what are the amount of views? What are the amount of people who are looking through that entire video? It's going to drop. It's just natural. It's going to drop. So that is why having these clips from your long form content is so helpful. The next thing is posting past high performing content. Now, this one can sometimes make people uncomfortable because they feel like, oh, well, people are going to be like, I've already seen that before, and I don't want to, put out the same thing. And I'm not saying to just spam and put out the same video over and over and over again. However, if you have some content that you know that your audience really enjoyed from a few weeks ago, a month ago, a year ago, repost it. Don't you like rewatching things that you love? I be on Facebook a lot, and there's this thing that people will do, or they will say all the time, and it's like, I'm gonna post this every time I see it, right? And it's because that's how strongly they connected with that piece of content. You don't know if you're gonna provide that next piece of content that someone connects so strongly with, they just wanna repost it and share it every time they see it. And if someone else, is willing to do that, why don't you do that for yourself? The reason why this works is because, first of all, a lot of times with the different algorithms for the different platforms, not everyone is seeing that content. You know, you can have 500 followers and maybe 100 or 200 actually saw that piece of content you put out. Then you also have to think about all the new amazing people who are joining your community. They probably didn't see that content from, some months ago. They might have scrolled through and looked through your stuff, but they may not have, right? So it's valuable, it's entertaining, people liked it, go ahead and consider posting it again. The last thing that I want to talk about as far as reposting past videos is checking to see if you got any gems in your stories. Checking to see if you have any gems in your stories. I found that people are using their most authentic self in their stories, right? Because they're only 24 hours, they only last for a little bit, so people feel very comfortable with being themselves. And this can be a really great way for those of you who are transitioning into being more comfortable on camera. This can be a really good way to go about it, right? So I'm going to give an example of a story that I posted and the results I got from posting it as a reel. So here is a short clip of the video. Alrighty, so I have this strawberry overload from, I'm gonna fudge this up, Fencha, I believe, Fengcha. Oops. Ooh, that's yummy. All right, so I'm gonna stop it right here. But this video here, right? I posted this to my fashionable foodie account, Ordinarily Extra, and it's great. I posted to my stories. I had a friend recommend this boba place to me. I went to go try it out, and I loved it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna create a video. Well, I created the video because I wanted to. I like doing live reveals of me trying new things, right? And so I posted it in my stories. And when I posted it to my stories, at the time that account had maybe not even 200 followers, right? And of those 200 followers, 40 people in my audience, they watched it, right? 40 people, which isn't bad at all for to have about 200 followers. Like, cool, that's great. But then I decided, a few months later, I was like looking for things to post, utilizing my own principles. And I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed, this video. I really enjoyed talking about this, this drink. I had went back to this place a couple times after as well. I was like, I want to share this with my audience. So I posted it as a reel. When I posted it as a reel, it reached 12,000 people, right? It got 12,000 views compared to those 40 views that I got in my stories, right? The difference, and I'm not saying that this is going to, happen all the time. However, why not put that content out there to see? And again, when you are thinking about this, you want to be strategic. You want to be strategic, right? You want to make sure that it aligns with your brand. You want to make sure it aligns with the messaging that you want to go out, right? For this account, it did exactly that. That account is all about fashion. It's all about food recommendations. So taking that from my story to my reels was a no-brainer. Let's get into the next thing that you should stop overthinking, which is repurposing audio clips. Stop overthinking repurposing audio clips. So you might be wondering what I mean by this, right? So some of you are probably still kind of hesitant when it comes to the video or at least being on camera, right? So if you are, this is a great way to get your feet wet with creating video content, but still making it easier for people to connect with you, right? Use your voice. So if people aren't seeing you, I always tell my clients, highly recommend using both your voice and, showing up on camera. But if not, at least do one of the two, right? And so with this, maybe you have a video and you are giving out something very valuable, really great knowledge, maybe something super entertaining, but the visuals on the video isn't great. Maybe it was really dark outside, or maybe something happened to your phone and it's not great. The visuals aren't great, right? That's okay. Ditch the video. Just use that audio. Just use that audio, and you can create an audiogram. You can create one of those text reels. There's so many things you can do with that. Another thing that you can do, one of my recent clients gave me this idea, and I was like, oh, I do this too. I'm like, I should be doing this. So, voice memos, right? So, if you're the type of person who, like me, will do voice recordings either to yourself or to your friends, maybe to your clients, you're doing voice memos, things of that nature, then take that audio and create something from it. again, you've already done it. Take that audio, create something from it. But I thought this was a really fun idea, that something, again, that I do myself. And it wasn't until I was working with a client that I was like, oh yeah, I can turn this into a reel as well. One of the last things, and this applies to a lot of the people I work with, are podcast episodes, right? So video podcasts are becoming more and more popular, but a lot of people are still, which is fine, doing just audio podcasts, right? Even with that, you still want to, market and promote that podcast. What better way to do that via video? And you can do that by, again, taking out that audio and transforming it into something new. So I'm going to give you an example of a client I worked with called Surrender to Thrive, and how I took their audio from a podcast episode and transformed it into something new.
That is the most painful thing that I do often, is to pretend that I'm okay even when I'm not.
What has been your most emotionally painful experience, and why?
There was a situation that occurred, and instead of leaning on the support system I had at the time, I kind of shut down, isolated myself, and shut the world out.
I love this video, y'all. This is one of one of the favorites of the videos that I've made. But again, so this is a podcast episode from the Surrender to Thrive podcast. And, they do everything with audio. And I added some amazing visuals, added some great text. And now you have something that can easily be shared, easily be promoted, and, bring awareness to what you're doing. So that concludes the third thing to stop overthinking, which is repurposing audio clips. Let's get into the next one. The next thing to stop overthinking is repurposing your words. Okay, so this can kind of go hand in hand with what we just talked about with the audio. However, there can be a couple other ways you can do this, right? So when I say repurposing your words, think about the captions that you've written for past posts, right? Think about blog posts that you've done. Think about even your product descriptions, services, things of that nature. So going back to the first one, which is captions, if you, created this amazing caption, why don't you, you can either read it out, make it more of that audio type, or you can type out a little snippet and have a text-based reel, right? Kind of like when people, sometimes you'll probably see people sometimes turn their tweets into a reel, right? So turn little snippets of your captions into a reel, especially if you brought up something unique, brought up something valuable. This can be lists and things of that nature. If you're thinking about a blog post, how can I turn that into a reel? You could go through the 5 steps, you can go through the recipe items. So that's some things that you can do with a blog post. Make it a text-based reel. Another thing you can do, again, is like those product descriptions or your product itself. So I worked with a brand called Goddess Energy Deck, and they have affirmation cards, right? And I'm going to show you an example of how I took the words from the affirmation cards and turned them into a reel.
In love.
Alrighty. So this affirmation here comes directly from one of the cards from the deck. And again, especially for those who are kind of in a similar industry, product and things like that, this is great. People love affirmations, and having cool ways to display them can go a long way, right? This one was really cool because the card itself, the physical cards, they're all black, and she has a very galaxy type theme. So that's why I really like this reel that was created, because it's almost like the card itself was a reel, right? Which I thought was really cool. So that is a few ways that you can repurpose your words, right? So stop overthinking, repurposing your words. All right. Now, we just have a few more things to stop overthinking. But before we get into the next one, I want to go ahead and answer this question because I know it's going to come up. I know y'all are going to be like, do I really need to do all that? Right? Do I really need to do all that? And before, some people, the next things I'm going to talk about, some people might feel like it's extra, right? And I'm all about being extra. But I feel like the next few things are a must if you want to stand out. Okay. So if you're wondering, do I really need to do all that? The answer is yes, especially if you want to stand out. So let's get into it. The next thing you need to stop overthinking is adding video captions. Stop overthinking adding captions to your videos. I'm gonna have like a whole nother series just about this because one, I just love words, and two, I just see so many people miss out on this. Stop overthinking this, please. So I think it was October. I attended an event by that was hosted by Meta, aka Facebook, and design for sound off was mentioned at least 5 times. It was a 2 day workshop, and design for sound off came up over and over and over again. So if the one of the biggest social media companies, it's on Facebook, on Instagram, with like so many things, if they are promoting this so heavily, it's true, right? So this adding captions have several different benefits, right? One of the main things is it just removes barriers for people. It removes barriers. What kind of barriers, right? So there are people who rely on video captions to be able to enjoy content such as this, right? Adding video captions make your videos more accessible. Number one, it makes your videos more accessible so more people can enjoy. And I bring this up because some people may not think about this. If you have no problem hearing or just all kinds of other things, you may not be thinking about it's people who rely on and need certain aids like this to be able to enjoy what you have, right? So that's reason number one. The next thing is, you know, there are people. I was looking at this other day. It was saying how you can reach up to 20% more people by adding captions because so many people are scrolling with the sound off, hence designed for sound off. You've probably done it yourself, right? Think about it, like, maybe early in the morning, you might be at work, you might, just be doing something else. Or maybe you're just not trying to disturb someone else. And so, or maybe you don't have your headphones, so many different things, but you're on social media scrolling and you're like, oh, this looks interesting, but you have no idea what they're saying, right? And so what do? Maybe you save it for later. Maybe you just scroll off and never go to it again. So don't give people that option. Why give people that option? Add video captions. Add captions to your videos. And the other thing is, there are so many free ways to do this now, right? Instagram itself, you can add captions whether you are you doing stories or reels. And then you can also use a tool called CapCut. CapCut is free and it is for both iPhone and Android users. So it doesn't matter what kind of phone you have, you can use CapCut totally for free. They will automatically add captions. You may have to do a little tweaks here and there, but I've been in this industry since 2017. Okay, transcription and captions and things like that have come a long way. So making a few tweaks here and there is way better than all the things we used to have to do to get really great video captions, right? So I definitely want to see you all doing more of this. And that concludes Stop Overthinking Adding Video Captions. The next thing to stop overthinking is which platform to post to. Okay. This is also a question I get asked a lot. Which platform should I post to? Should I post to TikTok? Should I post to IG? Should I post to Facebook? I want you to post to as many as you can, okay? I want you to post to as many platforms as you can. I say as you can because I understand that, it does take a little bit of energy and time to cross post to different platforms, right? But I would say to try at least two, but try and stretch yourself, right? Try and stretch yourself. Try to see how many platforms you can um, post to, whether that's you by yourself or someone else, right? And I say that because short form videos are being prioritized, right? We talked about this a little bit earlier. Short form videos are being prioritized. And so you want to be, giving these platforms, especially these free platforms that giving you free traffic, you want to be catering to what they want. And right now, that's short form videos. Okay. Not saying that you don't want to have a mix of other content, but today we're talking about video content, and we're talking about the very real fact that, again, these platforms are putting, a lot of times, putting this kind of content above all else, right? Another thing you want to think about is it's not about where, it's not necessarily about where you like to post, but where your audience is at, right? So imagine if, you're an IG person. You're like, I only like to post to IG. I really don't like being on other platforms. Okay. What if your audience is on Facebook? What if your audience is on TikTok and you don't even know it because you've never posted there, right? So, again, I know it can be challenging for some managing all those different platforms, but I really encourage you to at least do some tests, at least do some trials, even if it's two at a time. Do the main platform you're on and then add another one for, at least a month and see how that goes. Because you want to get data. You want to don't just put out one or two videos and be like, oh, this didn't work. No, put it out and then see what happens. Put it out consistently and see what happens, right? I want to show you some examples of some real world examples of why this is so important. So I'm going to start off with a video I posted.
Think it's time to say this. It's the little things you do that make me feel that you are all that I need.
Awesome. So this is my 10-minute yoga video that I posted. And so originally, I Instagram is like one of the main platforms I post to, right? And so on Instagram, I got 425 views on this video, right? I also posted it to TikTok and I got 292 views. I posted it to YouTube and I got 144 views, which is actually pretty decent for me. My average there right now, building it up, is about 100 views. But I posted it to Facebook, right? And I noticed that a lot of times people kind of like just kind of forget about the fact that, Facebook Reels exist as well. But I posted it to Facebook and I got 1.1K views, 1.1 thousand views, right? So with that being said, to put this into perspective, if I had just posted to Instagram, right? If I had just posted Instagram, I would have got 425 views, which is cool, but I would have missed out on over 1,500 other views if I had just posted it to Instagram. Okay? So that's one example. Let's look at one more.
Time for your mind. You can find peace of mind. Redefine, realign.
Awesome. So this video here, I actually created this video initially for TikTok. POVs, point of views, is a really popular trend on TikTok. It's also becoming really popular on Instagram as well. But I made this video with a TikTok audience in mind, right? And I'm gonna go through. The views that I got from least to most, and then we're gonna talk about it. So, interesting enough, TikTok, I got the least amount of views. I got 61 views on TikTok. On YouTube, I got 82 views. On Facebook, I got 208 views. And on Instagram, I got a whopping 34.3 thousand views. 34.3 thousand views, y'all. So I made this for TikTok, but Instagram was the star, y'all. Instagram was the star. This really resonated with people on Instagram. And I also posted this on LinkedIn, and I got a lot of engagement there as well. And this has been one of my favorite pieces of content to post for myself, just because, yes, it was great getting the views, but I was able to connect so much with my audience from this. Again, like even on these other platforms that maybe I didn't get as many views, every single platform conversation was had, connections was made, and that made me so happy. I got to, connect with other book lovers. I got to, just get other new recommendations for books. I love books. So, and even that, right? This is legit. Like we talk about authentic content. I was legit reading. I just set my camera up and I just started reading. I just started doing my thing, document documenting my day-to-day life. And this is something that I love to do for self-care. I love reading, especially like a physical book. Um, is one of my favorite things to do. So all of that combined just really, made me love this content, and I was really happy to, get so much love from it on IG. But again, we talk about, that's why we want to, because sometimes the whole thing is we have to do tests, right? And sometimes our tests don't come out how we want it, but that can be a good thing. Again, I created this in mind for TikTok, and yet it was Instagram where it got the most traction, right? So you have to think about that for yourself. If you're like, oh, I'm just going to post this here, right? You don't know what you're missing by not posting it to at least a few other platforms, right? At least one other platform. You won't know unless you are consistently putting it out, consistently getting that data, right? So that is why I want you all to stop overthinking um, posting to multiple platforms. Alrighty, and then let's get into the last thing to stop overthinking, which is outsourcing when needed. Okay, outsourcing when needed, and I say when needed because I know people are on different parts of their entrepreneurial journey. Maybe you are not able to hire out help right now, but it is good to keep in mind what you do want to hire out help for, right? I already have a couple people. I'm like, all right, I already know as soon as this happens, this person is getting hired because this is where I need help with, right? And you need to be able to, look at yourself, look at what you're doing, and know what needs to be outsourced, right? So if creating content all day just makes you feel very frustrated and overwhelmed, then maybe it's time for you to um, create. I'm sorry, but maybe it's time for you to outsource it, right? But what if you're a type of person you like to create, but you just don't like to edit? Again, that is an opportunity for outsourcing. And then there are people who love to do it all. Like you love creating, you love editing, you love promoting, all those things. But maybe you don't have enough time, right? Maybe you don't have enough time to do that. Sometimes we have to take note of where our time and energy is going. Even if, a lot of times people want to outsource because they're like, I can do it myself. Why would I have someone else do it, right? You have to think about where your zone of genius lies. Not saying that you're not good or great at it, but which one is going to be more of a business priority for you, right? Like if you're spending all this time doing this, which I know is helping your business, right? But then you're getting overwhelmed of the client work, of the day-to-day operations, then maybe your energy would be better served doing that and having someone help with this part, right? Helping with the content editing, the content creation, and all those things. So, definitely something to stop overthinking, outsourcing when needed. And that is it, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much to investing in yourself and just having that desire to stop overthinking video content, right? Because again, you have amazing things to share with the world, and we just got to get through all of that mind stuff so we can get it out there.